My name is Vernisa, and this is my podcast, Speak Up. Shout out to my new listeners out there. For those of you that don't know, the mission statement for this podcast is we'll use our voices to motivate people to overcome life's challenges through self love and respect. So, this is a place for self love and respect. I'm so excited. It has been an amazing month. We were coming to the end of June and we are in summer. I'm happy to be in summertime, ready for like the beach parties and whatever's coming my way. So speaking of summertime and things like that, I have a cool guest today. We're going to be talking about dating, love, couples, all those cool things, the sparks that happen during summertime. You guys give it up for professional dating coach and couples therapist, Alexis Keys. Hey, girl.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you. Welcome to SpeakUpJV.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, you're welcome. Oh, and I forgot to mention she's a really good friend of mine too. Gotta put that out there as well. Yeah, I hope your month is going well. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, so my name is Alexis and I am a professional dating coach and I am a new therapist. I recently graduated with my Master of Social Work last year and I'm registered in the state of California, specializing in couples therapy. So I am a lover girl through and through, and so my work definitely reflects how my heart really is.
I must say, y'all, she definitely is a lover girl. I'll be learning a lot from her just from our simple conversation. So I'm excited for tonight to, pick her brain a little bit more. So tell us a little bit more about your dating coach and couples therapist business.
Yes. So I began my dating coaching business. It is called the Making Love Company. And I really wanted to give it a name where love really stood out. I started this company about a year and a half ago, and it's my little baby, a little small boutique dating coaching office. I started this business because I feel like a lot of us didn't really have the head start in learning how to vet partners and choose the right people for us and for the right reasons. So that's why I began. As far as couples therapy, I don't have my own practice yet. I am a pre-licensed therapist, which just means that I still have a supervisor who is there, to look over my work as I am a new therapist, still building my skills. And so that is to come, a private practice. But for now, really building this business from the ground up.
Oh my goodness, yes. I was so excited when you started the business as well. Like just the things you do and like even your story is just amazing. Like, congratulations to being a newlywed. I got the honor to attend your wedding this year. This January just passed, I had a blast. Like I love a good wedding. And I just like you have so much knowledge and wisdom, and I just feel like what you do, you're definitely a fit for it, and you are impacting so many lives by your story and the knowledge that you have.
Thank you so much, Vernisa. Honestly, and that's really what drove me to do this. I've had a fulfilling and also rough dating life, and I feel like we go through things and it feels like, why am I going through these things? And then as time passes on, God really brings people along the way that needs exactly what you have. And so I feel like with all of the pain that I had experienced on my way to finding healthy relationships, I really wanted to share that wisdom. If I could save someone even a fraction of the time that it took for me to find healthy relationships, that's a win for me. As I mentioned, being a therapist, one of the ways that I process my thoughts is journaling. And so when I was single, I would journal my experiences and I would, write what I liked about the date, what I didn't like about the date, because oftentimes it'll be months or years later that we'll look back and realize we made poor choices. And you just get tired of yourself after a while. So I said, well, let me figure out what it is that I'm actually attracted to, not attracted to. And so I moved to a new city about a year and a half ago. I'm from LA, born and raised, but I moved a little bit outside of LA. And I was going through my boxes and I came across a few of my journals. And I was like, this is some good stuff. And so that's where the driving force for the Making Love Company really started.
That is so beautiful. And this actually goes into my next question, but I must say, I think what's cool about your business as well is that you're very open about what you went through. You know, I've seen like dating pages or coaches where they're acting like they never ever. I mean, some found their love early in life, but the ones who like have those stories but don't share them and act like they never had a bad date or never lived below their worth or things like that. And I
Mhm.
just love how open, because I feel like we could all relate in some way. We've all made mistakes or had this or thought someone was the one, or just, just have those moments. So I think when a coach can be like open with you and like share
Mhm.
their experience but show that it does get better, I think
Yeah.
that's what makes it really powerful. So my question, going into my next question for you, is, in your opinion, what makes your services unique compared to other like people in your industry?
Yeah, that's a great question. So to lead with that, to lead into that, I also saw other dating coaches and things like that. And what I felt like I had to bring to the table that other people didn't is that it was only a few years ago that I was single and still finding what it is that I wanted. And so I met my now husband in the end of 2023, and we made it official in 2024 and was married in 2025 legally. Everyone would know now, but we had our actual wedding in 2026. And so it my unique take is that I didn't meet my husband 10 years ago or 20 years ago before the internet, right? I was right in the trenches with you guys. I was in the swiping culture, the DMing culture, the fast paced dating culture that we're in today. And so that was one of the most unique aspects I felt like I had to bring to the table, because it's a beautiful thing for someone who's been married for 20 years. I think there's wisdom to gain from that, right? We all want to make it there. However, those people don't experience our world today and how quickly people move on, how many options people now have, and how people are choosing to take longer to settle down than they ever have before.
Mhm.
People are choosing their careers as a priority and different things, which is fine, but then they find later on in life that they wish they would have prioritized dating a little more. And the next thing that brings a uniqueness to this is that I was actually a single mother when I got married. And so I also understand what it's like to have a family, for that family to break up and then have to rebuild your confidence, rebuild your self esteem. Your career might have taken a hit after having a baby, just all the things that can impact the trajectory that you thought you were on. And really have to not only date, but then make time to date because I had a baby and all these different things. So I really feel like my story encompasses a few people's story combined.
Ooh, that's definitely well said. Yeah, that's a big one. And I like what you said about like you said, finding the one in this time, like you said, being in the trenches with us. Like, I'm single, right? And
Mhm.
it's crazy because when I'm talking to my grandparents about dating, like my grandmother in particular, like even my mom or my dad, they're from a different time. So I feel like, they look at me crazy when it's like, oh, da da da, you're this age, blah blah blah. But it's like they're not understanding it because it's like it was just different back then, like you said, before social media,
Mhm.
before just the way the world was. So I love that you brought that up, because yeah, sometimes some of the successful relationships that we meet, they did meet a long time ago, and then
Yeah.
it's like they have the fruit now, but it's like yours is very unique because of that as well. So those are some great examples, I must
And
say.
also, Vernisa, if I may add, I also met my husband on a dating app.
Oh yeah, go ahead and elaborate if you
Yeah.
like. Mhm.
So we met on Bumble, and I wanted to say that because I know everyone's up in the air about dating apps. Everybody's tired of
Mhm.
them. They feel like they're a waste of time. People are just playing games, and I went through that too. I would be on the app and then off, and then on and off, and hearing people say it doesn't work. This is a saying that I keep close to my heart. Your husband or wife will be wherever you are.
Mm.
And that's something that I tell my clients and my friends and other people around me who are single, is that don't feel like you missed them. Don't feel like I wish I met them in college. I wish I met them in high school. Wherever your spouse or person or long-term partner is, they will meet you exactly where you happen to be at that time.
Mhm.
So really just live your life, and we'll get into that a little bit later on how to be proactive in your dating life. But I just wanted to encourage the people that are out here watching that you didn't miss anything, and it really will be better than you can imagine.
I love it. Well, so look, we loving them. Look, have y'all notepads ready for tonight? So,
Yeah,
when do you recommend someone who is single to consult with a dating coach?
that's a great question. I think the best time is when you're ready to be intentional. Now, I do have clients that have just gotten out of relationships. And so the beginning of our coaching with those clients are typically really just unpacking what they felt like didn't work
Mm.
and really trying to increase their self esteem and get them back to a place of, excitement for dating again. And actually, that's the word that you should be looking for when you hire a dating coach, is that you're actually excited to date. I think a lot of us tend to be jaded and bitter from our past experiences. And I understand that too. I've been there too, where you feel like, nobody's a good person, everybody is tricking you, or whatever the case may be. But you really want to get yourself to a place where you're actually excited, where you're like, I can't wait to meet my person. And you're willing to do the work that it needs to get you there.
Okay. Look, I like that one a lot because I feel like that's a different, that's a new perspective and stuff that I've heard on the dating coach thing. So that's a great answer. Anybody seeking that, that was the best way to start. And on the flip side, with your other expertise, so in your opinion,
Mhm.
what prevents couples like who are going through rough chapters from going to couples therapy?
Yeah, I've got to say, I love working with couples. I really do. So, what prevents couples from going to couples therapy? Fear. And it's fear in, I would say, three different areas. Fear of the unknown. You don't really know what to expect, so we avoid it. We stay in what's familiar. So even if you and your partner are having the same argument over and over again, it's still familiar to you. You still know how you guys make up, how you guys fix it. You know your pattern. But when you go to couples therapy, my job is to interrupt that pattern. And you don't know what that's like yet. So I would say fear of the unknown. I would also say fear of being judged,
Mm,
because here you have somebody who's essentially an observer of the most intimate relationship in your life. We talk about sex in couples therapy. We talk about money in couples therapy. We talk about infidelity in couples therapy. I mean, whatever your relationship has experienced comes out. And so you don't know what I'm thinking and if I'm judging you. And so I also understand the
mhm,
apprehension that comes with that. And then finally, I would say the last two things, I think I said three, but there's actually four.
mhm,
A therapist taking one person's side. I've heard that a lot. And I'm not a big men do this, women do this, but I do acknowledge the difference between men and women. And I will
mhm.
say the overwhelming majority of partners that are afraid to go to couples therapy are definitely men, especially with me being a woman, because it's assumed that because I'm a woman, I might lean more to her, but I make it a huge point to stay neutral. And I even check in with my clients in the middle of a session and say, I just want to pause right here and ask, let's just say John and Sally, we just make up some names. John, are you feeling heard in this session? Is there anything before we continue for the next 30 minutes that you would like to say or like me to understand better? Then I will move on to Sally and say, Sally, are you feeling her? So I make sure to keep it neutral so that both parties feel like they're getting what they need and nobody's, being picked on. And then finally, pride. I think it's really hard for a lot of people to ask for help. One thing I've noticed as a dating coach is that people even have a lot of pride with hiring a dating coach, because love is supposed to be easy. It's the one thing that's supposed to just come to you, right? And
Mhm.
so it can make you feel insecure and feel like, well, am I not good enough because I need help with finding love? And that's not the case. It's just that if you didn't have a good example of how to pick the right type of people, it's important to get somebody to really to highlight your blind spots, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the reasons that I would say people that prevents couples from going to couples counseling.
I love that, and it's very similar. I think just like to regular therapy in general, why people
Mhm.
don't go. So those are some great reasons. So okay, we're here to debunking all that today. So
Yeah.
I love that. But you guys, it is now time for the act. Oh, sorry. Tonight's episode is titled "Your Love." So we're gonna be talking about the importance of not neglecting your self love in dating. So this is a big one. This is just show focus on self love and inner peace. But what does that look like in dating? So let's get into the act up question of the day. So this is the ask up question today. So you out there listening, please comment. Always go back and read the comments. So I'm gonna go ahead and answer first, Alexis, and I'll let you answer. So the ask up question of the day is what is a way that you like to maintain your self love when dating? So one thing for me that helps is still being able to have my alone time and checking, like, obviously, like actively dating, right? If I'm like out on a date with someone or getting to know somebody, actively checking if I feel like something is making is lower than my standards at the door. I used to not be vocal, right? When I would feel like a boundary was overstepped, or I felt like I was treated lower than what I was. I used to be more like not
Hmm.
vocal about it. I've been learning like there's power in like checking things at the door and like, no, is this something that is serving me? Is this something I want to continue with? Is this a person I see myself dating in the long term? So I would say
Right.
checking with myself, pausing and reflecting, and checking things at the door. So what about you? What is your favorite way to maintain your self love in dating? It could be in your marriage or something that helped you when you were actively dating.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I really love the way that you manage your self love while you're dating. I think pausing is probably my favorite word in therapy ever. Period.
Mm. Hmm.
Um, for me, how I maintain my self love and made sure not to neglect it was I learned that when you love yourself fully, it becomes easier to recognize when someone doesn't love you,
Yes.
right? And so I have to, it's so funny. I know this because we're friends also, but you are such an Aquarius just as I am because I need my alone time.
Yes.
Like
100%.
even in marriage, and we can touch on that later. But I spend time alone to recharge myself, and I also try to really do things that make me happy. And this is another beautiful thing about being single is that you get to know what makes you happy without
Mhm.
compromise, without sacrifice, right? And it's the one unique time in your life that you get to be selfish. And
Yeah.
so because I know that pouring into myself felt so good, I had to make sure to take that into dating. Now that wasn't always the case.
Mhm.
So when I was actively dating, there were times in the beginning before I started noticing my patterns where I would give up the things that I love, not for the person, but to try to make time for the date. Right. So if I was going to go run 2 miles, I might have said, okay, well, I'll go ahead and do it tomorrow so I can make time.
Mhm.
And I learned very quickly that that goes downhill fast. Uh,
Mhm.
so I would just say that really keeping up with my hobbies, things that make me happy, that's how I don't neglect myself when I'm dating.
I love that. Yeah, that was a great what you said about the run thing because I noticed a growth in myself as well. Because not too long ago, I remember somebody wanted to take me on a date, but I had the gym scheduled, and I was like, "Oh, we can't hang till after this time. I have to go to the gym." And I was proud of
Mhm.
myself. That showed growth on my end because, yeah, like you said, me years ago would have been, "Oh, I'm going out. I'm gonna go on a date.
Right.
I'm gonna go work out whenever." But it's like you're right. When you fall in love with that process of like taking care of yourself and who you are important into you, it's like you come first, you know what I mean? Your needs, whatever. Then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I'll let someone fit into that. So I love that example. And
Yeah.
I want to say, you guys, the relationship with yourself is the longest relationship. I don't care who you, obviously, relationship with yourself and with God, of course. So it's like that has to just be nurtured first before anything. And I feel like the way you treat yourself definitely reflects onto how you treat that next person and how you allow yourself to be treated. So I would say too, when you're not fully ready to date, it's easy to kind of forget who you are, right? Because I mean, how many times we've probably been in a broken space, and we were
Mm,
dating at that time, and we didn't want to be alone and sit with ourselves through certain things. So it's easy just to give up on ourselves and then
mhm.
jump into the thing. So, as a dating coach, when shouldn't a person try to date?
When should a person date? I
Shouldn't try.
should not.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say should not
Should
date?
not. Yep.
Ooh, this is a great
I know
question.
how to flip it.
When shouldn't a person date? If you think that all men are anything, if you speak out of your mouth, all men, and I'll just leave the blank open, you're not ready.
Woo.
It
Okay.
doesn't matter what it is because nobody is the same. Not every gender is the same. If you're a man and you say all women are, you're not ready to date.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my number one thing. If I hear that, I would tell the client straight up, like, I don't think you're going to be willing to do the work right now if this is the mindset that you're not ready to get rid of.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they say all money isn't good money, right? But, even though I'm excited to provide this service, it's still serving. It's still energy that, I pour out. And I don't want to just get paid and the person is not really excited and engaging in it. So, if you think all men are the same or all women are the same, you should not be dating. I would also say that everyone's insecure. Let me just start with that. I won't say everyone's insecure. Everyone has insecurities. I don't think you need to not have any insecurities. That's not all the way realistic. But I definitely think that you should have a pretty good handle on how to console yourself through those insecurities. Because a romantic relationship is the most intimate relationship you can have. Next to that may have been the parent child relationship, right? So people are going to trigger you. Now, we're not talking about people who are actively hurting you or manipulating you, right? But you're going to be triggered in dating. So that's something I would definitely normalize. And if someone is not in a mental space where they're able and willing to be uncomfortable, they're not willing to date. I mean, they're not ready to date.
Okay. That was well said. Okay, we'll take that. But you guys, it is now time for the tweet up segment. So y'all know I like to be on Twitter, X, whatever they want to call it. So something that I tweeted this week that goes with today's episode is just because there's a connection doesn't mean it's a good one. So I say this to say, how many of us have been caught up in those connections? Like, oh, we vibe, blah, blah, blah. He made me laugh. We did this, blah, blah, blah. And just assume this is the person. Or you're going off someone's representative, right? When you first meet a person, we're all going to show our pretty parts, right? When
Mhm.
you first meet anybody, right? We all going to put our best foot forward, but doesn't mean it's a real connection. I had to learn this about myself too. I'm a very charismatic, fun, outgoing, bubbly person, right? That's just me naturally, right? I feel like almost anybody I hang with, we're gonna have a good time, we're gonna laugh. And I used to mistake that as, oh, we vibe, we got chemistry, this and that. But sometimes you're actually the good time. I'm not even saying that being cocky, like just saying like if you just get along with people naturally, does that really mean there's something there? There's a spark,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? And there's different levels of connection, but it doesn't mean it's a connection in the long run.
Yeah.
So that's something that really had to sit with me. And just because you have chemistry with someone, it doesn't mean it's going to be a healthy connection
Mm-mm.
in the long run. So what are your thoughts like on the current dating scene, like especially like with AI and like on the surface connection? So let me share this with you quick. I saw a little post. It was talking about how dating in the future will be like two AIs talking to each other. You have your AI, I have my AI, and they talk and they
Oh
pick
my
who meets. So what is like your thoughts on just dating in general?
God.
Like
I just gotta say, unpopular opinion, I am not a fan of AI.
mm-hmm.
I have actually never used ChatGPT uh, at all. I do know a good amount about AI because as a mental health therapist, it is a part of our programming to be aware of the changes that are happening in our world. especially with me being a mental health social worker and therapist. So I have to know what's going on in the world. So I would say that AI can be beneficial. Although I don't use it, at least not much outside of maybe like the Google review that comes up. But I think it can be helpful. But oh my gosh, I hope that never happens where people's avatars are talking to each other,
It's
because I mean, then it's even more of a game than it is already.
take this.
Oh my,
Okay, so take AI out of it. What are your thoughts on just on the scene today? Like
yeah.
just how
On
dated it is. Let's take AI out.
Yeah, but yeah, besides AI though, believe it or not, I think that more people are genuinely afraid of falling in love more than they
Mm,
care to admit. And this is men and women. I feel like, like you said previously, we all have thought people were the one and they wasn't. We all have given a little bit more of ourselves thinking that this was going somewhere and then later on regret it. But I always tell people that fear can be alchemized into wisdom. Like, okay, I've done this and that before. Let me maybe set a boundary in this area so that I don't repeat that. So the scene right now, I think a lot of people are just scared. Another thing is we have a lot more options than ever before. And I say options in quotes because it's really perceived options. People think they got more options than they do. Like, I think a lot of people are struggling with settling down because all you have to do is pick up your phone, scroll through Instagram, and it's going to be another fine girl and another fine girl and another fine man. You know what I mean? Somebody taller, somebody with more money. Like, you're able to see more of people's lives than you ever did. So, your world has been expanded. You're like, I can meet a man in Paris, Japan, wherever. And so I think it's giving people the idea that there's always something better
mm,
and that the grass is always greener on the other side. And that's not the case. So I think the scene right now, it's a little rough, and it's also not even easy doing this work in this dating scene because so many people are so skeptical.
mhm.
So I want to just, validate those that are out there that I do understand why you may be fearful or apprehensive to trust somebody. But my true opinion is that it's not that you don't trust other people. A lot of times we have a hard time trusting our decision making skills.
Woo. Okay. Look at that.
Yeah.
Okay, we rolling with that way.
Yeah.
And okay, and then on a deeper level, so currently, being in a healthy marriage, what's a piece of advice you would give to yourself that was in the challenging parts of being single and dating?
Like if I had to look back on myself,
In those hard parts of it, of the single part.
I would look back and tell single Alexis that being single is a lot more of a gift than I thought.
Mm,
And this is a person who's in a healthy relationship, a healthy marriage, and like my husband is my dog. Like I love him. And singleness is way more than a gift than a lot of people realize
mhm.
because it's one of the times in your life, one of the only where you don't have to consider anybody else. You can book a flight and you don't have to check in. You can spend as much money as you want. You don't have to check in. You know what I mean? It's really a beautiful thing to have that level of freedom. And so I would look back and tell her, girl, live it up.
Mhm.
Really live it up.
Live
Hmm.
it up. I like that's great advice. I like that. Live it up. Okay, noted.
Yes.
Like noted until further notice. But you guys, it is now time for the life up segment. This is the life up segment where I take the topic I related to a problem in today's world. So tonight's life up is fitting into someone's box to make a situation work, going with the flow. I know you hate this one. And then not knowing what you really want when going into the dating scene. So these are like, I feel like this is like the climate that we're in right now, especially the
Mhm.
fitting into someone's box. I've seen so many posts about women having to dim their light, to kind of stay, or the man having to dim their light,
Mhm.
vice versa, to stay in a situation, or like not getting like kind of what you want out of the situation just to make something work or to say you're with somebody. And that going with the flow one's a big one.
Mhm.
We're seeing these situationships, the whole friends with benefits and things like that. When it's something that the person doesn't even want, they're just
Mhm.
kind of going with it to say they have access to that person. So, any thoughts on these life topics?
Yeah, definitely. And I just got to tell y'all, I have had many situationships, okay?
And there's
Like,
some
I understand what it's like to feel like this my man, but he really not your man. Or the
we
man,
together, but we not. Yeah.
yeah, I've definitely been in situationships. You are spot on. I hate the going with the flow to an extent, right? Like if you're in that period of your singleness where you really just want to enjoy and see what's out there, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just when you set your intentions to saying to yourself, I'm ready to be intentional, and then you're allowing people to lead you somewhere else. So,
Mhm.
a few tips I have on trying to force a situation to work. First of all, don't. Like, honestly, it sounds simple, but really it's going to hurt you a lot more after. Um, the main thing you need to focus on is making sure that you and that person have a similar vision for the future and similar values. You guys don't have to be the exact same person, but you have to have similar ideas of what the future is going to look like. And most importantly, when,
Mhm.
right? Because you can meet someone who wants to be a parent, but they may not want to be a parent for 10 more years,
Mhm.
and you might be ready to be a parent in 2 years. And so that timeline aspect is really important. So, to speak to situationships, people should ask the bigger questions a lot earlier. I know that's taboo. I know it's like, I don't want to seem like I'm interviewing them on the date. And no, and when I work with my clients, I teach them little tricks and tips on how to like ask big questions, but casually, right? So if I was gonna ask a man if he sees marriage in his future, I would literally ask like this, like, you ever want to be married one day?
Mhm.
Right? Because now you've just completely knocked down any walls that person might build. Because it's just like asking them, like, where you want to go on vacation, right? You're just asking if that's a general idea that they want.
General.
And a lot
Mhm.
of people mistake that for you're asking them, do they want to marry you? No, you're just asking if this is something you want,
Mhm.
right? So ask the big questions a lot earlier. If I had to give a timeline, I would say within the first 3 weeks.
Mhm.
This texting all day on the phone all
Well,
night.
what you doing, Kings? I'm done. I can't. Look.
No,
They're-
no, because it just creates too much confusion. And now you all in love and attached, and you find out that this man want to live on a farm one day, and you're like, oh, that's not the life I want, right?
you don't even like animals. Yeah.
And I also want to speak to how dangerous it is to pretend to be okay with a situation that you're not. Right.
Mhm.
And now, this I want to speak to those that are dating and in relationships that are no longer serving them. Because when you are in a situation that you really don't want to be in, I hate to admit it, but it's almost a form of manipulation on your end too.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times people will start to conform and be a chameleon to kind of perform for that person, right? Like if I cook more, if I clean more, if I do this more, then they'll want these things. And you're essentially trying to like trick them into wanting something, right?
Mhm.
And so finally, I would say to that at some point, people have to admit that not everyone else is always wasting your time. A lot of times you're wasting your own time. So I would just say if y'all haven't gathered anything from me right now, I'm very direct. I'm gentle and I meet people where they're at, but I'm also very straightforward because I mean, this is one of the biggest decisions you're going to make in your life. Who you have children with, who you marry. I mean, it really alters your life significantly.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I would just say, those situationships, you guys have to be on the same page. If you guys just want to, be late night little creeps, agree to that. But if you're wanting something serious, don't let how fine they are, how much money they make, how fly they are, all these like outside external things does not matter as much as it will matter who's going to be there for you when you lose your job or if you lose a parent, who's going to be there for you when your mental health is not in the right place. Like, you need somebody who's going to really be on your team, and you're not going to care what kind of outfit they have on and how tall they are if they're not being a loving, safe person for you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was the answer. I'm gonna snap to that. That was the thing right there. Because I always ask, how do we fix this? So yeah, what Alexis just said, all those things, that was amazing. I'll also add on, ask yourself, what do you really want out of the situation, and going with the flow leads you nowhere. And set your standards.
Yeah.
So, what's a piece of advice you kind of mentioned it, but if you have anything you want to add on, what's a piece of advice you would give to a person who wants to work on their standards when it comes to dating?
I love standards and boundaries.
Yes, tell it, girl.
Do. Working on your standards, I would say get quiet. Spend a few days or a week mostly to yourself. Limit your social media, limit, maybe talking to your friends or family every single day for just a few days, and
Mhm.
really get quiet and think, what do I want if nobody was watching?
Mhm.
Not if I'm trying to impress my friends or brag on this or brag, but like, what do you really want? What makes you happy? What makes you feel safe? What makes you feel secure? And write those things down. Another thing is really think about, why does this person deserve to get my best, but I don't deserve to get their best?
That was woo. Okay, here we warn me next time. She going off right
The
now.
heat is going up, okay?
Woo! Uh-huh.
And so, and that's really deep
Ooh.
down what it is. Now, I will say this: I am a therapist, but I'm not my dating coaching clients therapist. I do create, as we're speaking about boundaries, a really hard line between I'm not your therapist. In
Yeah.
this capacity, I am your dating coach. However, I do implement therapeutic things sometimes, and one of them is, why don't you think you deserve better than this?
Mhm.
And really sit with yourself. So setting standards it are hard to do, because it can be lonely,
Mhm.
it can be frustrating. People are looking at, they're getting older, what they thought their life would look like by now, and really you're grieving. You're grieving what your expectations were for this stage of your life. And so setting standards are hard, but let me tell you, as somebody who was a single mom with a baby daddy and a husband, you do not want to attach yourself to the wrong person
Mhm.
for the rest of your life. Because although I'm married now and my marriage is like one of the joys of my life, I still have to co parent with a person who I am completely misaligned with.
Mhm.
And it really does impact your day. So, for those out there who don't have kids yet or who are finding themselves in a rush, it can really change your life and it can really impact more than you expected.
Mm. That was the answer right there. That full situation. And speaking of standards, I know you mentioned like the grieving part and stuff. And it's crazy that you mentioned it gets lonely because it's like it's crazy how many people are in your face. This goes with friendships. We could bring friendships into it too, business partners, all kind of stuff when you don't have standards up. How when you don't know your worth, right? But then, yeah, when you do run a stricter program, you don't play
Mhm.
about yourself, that kind of goes away, right? And that involves dating as well. When someone
Yeah.
knows they can't play in your face or treat you a certain way, same for certain friendships when they don't have that certain access to you anymore.
Right.
So those are some gems that you dropped. But you
Yeah.
guys, it is now time for the drink up water segment. Ooh, if you're out there listening, please drink some water. And I have a water fact for tonight. Tonight's water fact is staying hydrated improves your skin from the inside. When your body has enough water, your skin stays smoother and healthier and naturally balanced, all which helps fragrance cling and develop more, according to evenly eating perfumes.co. So I had to bring up a perfume one because we out dating. Let's make sure we smelling good. So drink your water, let that perfume and cologne stick to you, and just stay hydrated out there. So back to the episode. So I want to throw this in there too, because this has been helping me too. See dating as a learning experience as well.
Mhm.
You can learn more about yourself the more you date. So one thing my best friend always said, you know, when you're single for so long, right? Yeah, you can master yourself and you're by yourself completely. You're not dating, you're just kind of like to yourself, right? Yeah, I can sit with myself all day, whoop de whoop. But you learn more about yourself when you're actually experiencing
Mhm.
different people. And I feel like I went through a stage where I was completely not talking to nobody. Like I really was just with me, whoop de whoop. But then when I started dating again, interacting with men again and things like that, I saw parts of myself that probably still needed healing, or things that I did want in a man, or things that I didn't want, the non-negotiables, the negotiables. So all those things, I feel like really helped me learn myself as a person, and even helped strengthen my relationship with myself.
Right.
So that's a big deal. It was something I wanted to throw in there, you guys. Like even the bad dates, it's a learning experience. I had to just kind of laugh, even when something doesn't work out, and you learn
Yeah.
what you don't want and what you do want. Because even on those bad dates, I learned it might be a trait about that man or woman that you actually do like. So it
Mhm.
doesn't mean that it's a total X. It's like, okay, I know I like this in a person. This is something I won't deal with, and you just keep it pushing. So
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. And that's something that I'm a big fan of is
mhm.
date to just get to know people.
Yeah.
You don't have to go into a date already knowing what it is you're looking for from this person. And
Hmm.
it doesn't mean you're wasting your time. Anything from date 1 to 3, maybe 4 max, is really just collecting data.
Hmm.
You don't know them, they don't know you. It doesn't matter how good the vibe was, the conversation was. It takes time to really get to know somebody.
Oh
So yeah,
yes.
you learn something from everybody. And if you go into, and this is really just a life hack, if you go into every situation realizing that even if it's only one thing I take from this, you're learning what you do like, but you're also learning what you no longer like.
Hmm.
What you thought you may have desired, you might sit across from it and be like, this actually is not it. You know what I mean? So, because I relate that to like job skills. Like there's jobs I've had in the past, and I'm like, I hate it here. Like this is not what I want to be doing. And then I think about the jobs that I do now, and I'm like, oh, I really learned that skill.
Yeah, you got that skill
Um,
set there. That's a big one, and it
yeah.
helps you. So speaking of that topic, what is something you learned about yourself when you were in the dating scene?
Yes, so you touched on the first one early on, and I learned how much alone time I need.
Yeah, I think that's gonna still apply to me. Uh huh.
Now, let me say this: when I wasn't in a place of fully walking in my worth, fully knowing who I am, I was a lot more codependent.
Hmm.
It was a lot more attachment that I needed to feel comfortable. But when you start to heal those wounds and you start to unpack those layers, and you really get quiet, you really get to know yourself. And I was like, oh, I really like me. And so I would take myself on solo dates. Now, solo dates is the second part of this. That's how I really got to know myself. I learned what foods I actually like to eat at restaurants, which ones I prefer to cook. I learned, what shoes I feel more comfortable in, what environments make me feel sexy. Like there were so many things I learned from going out by myself. And I would really encourage people to spend time alone intentionally, whether it's a trip, a weekend away, taking yourself to the movies. You'll be surprised at how well you get to know yourself. The other things that I learned while dating was setting boundaries, and speaking up for myself. There were times in my life where I accepted things that did not feel good just because what you said, you just want somebody. And sometimes something feel better than nothing, right?
Hmm.
But there's a quote that I heard. I wish I could remember who it was from, but and it stuck with me and it really snapped me out of whatever low level place I was in. And it said, imagine you were walking in the desert and you were completely dehydrated, like you haven't had anything to eat or drink. When someone offers you anything, it's going to seem like $1,000,000. It's going to seem like a 5-star meal because you're starving, right? That's how it is with love. When you're starving for it and you need it so bad from somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
anything seems appealing.
Mm-hmm.
But when you feed yourself, right, and you nourish yourself, you get to be picky, right? Because, like, look at us. We're not starving, right? Like, in a literal sense. So if I say, hey, Renisa, would you like some snake to eat? You're going to be like, no,
No.
like, you have a choice because you're not starving. But if it was somebody on the street that haven't eaten in 2 weeks, they gonna take whatever. So that's how I compare it.
I like that.
Is when you fill up your own cup, everything else is really just extra. So that's something that I learned about myself. And finally, I really started to eliminate the negative environments I was in, whether it's
That's a good
family,
one.
whether it was friendships, whether it was work environments. I started to really get serious about myself and start having a strict program. I didn't play about myself. And when your environment is peaceful, you won't let nothing interrupt that.
I'm with you. I feel that. Okay. Those
Yes.
some good ones. I like ooh, I like that, especially that food example. But you guys, I'm gonna hold on to that one. It's now time for the show up segment. So this is the show up segment. If you're out there listening, please comment. How did you show up for yourself this week? So I'll go ahead and answer first. How did I show up for myself this week? This week I gave myself grace. So it was one of those weeks where okay, I'm ready to slow down. I was pretty like busy this month. I got a lot done this month and I was very proud of myself. Now I'm in that reset mode where okay, I came straight home, allowed myself just to rest and like unapologetically and have
Mm.
grace with myself with it. And I'm feeling great because I'm preparing for next week where like I'm really back to get back at it. So, what about you? How did you show up for yourself this week?
I love that for you.
You.
So one way that I showed up for myself this week was actually advocating for myself.
Ooh.
Um, there was there's a I'll just say a meeting that I was in, and it's very important. And it's one of those things where you feel lucky to be in the room, so you just take what's there. And I advocated for myself and I said, you know what? This is actually not the team that I need. I actually need the team to look like this. And unfortunately, you're not a good fit for that. And that's a hard thing to do, right? And so showing up for myself this week looked like advocating for myself.
I love that, and it goes with our topic tonight anyway. I feel like in dating, you're advocating for yourself, so
Yeah.
that's the big ones. So, what's a piece of advice you would give to a person who is in the dating scene right now, but they would love to be married in the future?
Yeah. Okay. So for the singles who want to be married, and this is for any gender. This is not man, woman. This is for everybody. The first thing is only date people who want what you want.
Mm,
That's number one. Number two, okay, let's talk about finances. You don't have to be perfect, but I would say that if you're single and you know that you want to be married someday, do something towards improving your financial situation in the way you want it to be. So whether that's paying off, as much debt as you can, whether that's saving even $20 a week towards, your future, but trying to work on your finances because at some point you're going to be combining them. And everybody has different thoughts on joint accounts and all that. But it's
mhm,
not even about the little things like that you do. It's just the fact that you're going to be sharing a household with somebody for the rest of your life. So essentially, whether you guys are 50-50, 110, all the different arguments online, you're still combining your life resources with each other. And to the money aspect, I would also encourage you to get comfortable talking about uncomfortable topics. So start practicing small, right? If you're uncomfortable talking about money, maybe walk into a bank and actually talk to the bank teller about your bank account balance instead of going on the app, right? Because you're starting to train your brain to be able to say out loud what your actual situation is. And then it'll get easier talking to your husband or wife someday. Another thing that I would say is going to therapy. I don't only work with couples as a therapist. I've seen children, teenagers, individuals, and couples, as well as families. And I would encourage you to go to therapy alone first, if you can. And I would also encourage you to go to couples therapy before even being engaged.
Oh, interesting.
I highly suggest going with your boyfriend or girlfriend. Now, you may not want to go, right away, but I would strongly encourage you to go as soon as possible, because the sooner you find out that you're a match or a mismatch, the better.
Okay.
Um, I think I touched on this part, but I want to reiterate to truly enjoy your singleness. I mean, I had a ball. I had a ball.
What?
Anybody who are friends with me or follow me on social media know that 2020 to 2023 was a movie. Okay. So
Hey.
I really enjoy myself a lot. And then finally, try to release the bitterness of past hurts. If you want to be married, again, dating will trigger you, but marriage, baby, I
Yeah.
don't know what the Lord sprinkled in marriage. But things that you thought that you healed, you kind of touched on that a little while ago when you said when you were single and not dating anybody, you feeling good, everything is cool, but then when you get back out there, they start rubbing you a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing in marriage. Some wounds can only be healed with somebody else. You know,
Mm.
and the last thing I want to just kind of end with on that note is people overestimate needing to heal their wounds, and they underestimate just having new experiences.
Yes.
You have
Okay.
to stay stuck in your trauma. You don't have to stay stuck in your childhood and what happened and all these things. Those things do matter. But people underestimate how much you heal from just experiencing new people, experiencing new things.
Yeah.
And the more the positive experience pile up, the smaller the bad experience starts to be anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Those
Oh,
are the things that I would give someone single who wants to be married.
and that was a good
And yes,
perspective.
I took my own advice if anybody's wondering. I was in
Yeah.
therapy for almost 5 years. I was single for 5 years, so I was in therapy the entire time. I still have the same therapist as I did since 2019. And so I still go to therapy with and without my husband. I paid off majority of my debt before I got married because I was like, he not gonna see all this.
Yeah.
So I took care of business. So, and I have to say that because we know how these podcasts and social media can make people feel like they're so above everybody else. But no, I did the work too. I did.
And that's what we hear for them authentic conversations. But before
Yeah.
we get into the wrap up, before we wrap it up, I always like to ask my guests a fun question. So your fun question is, what is the funniest prank? Has to be one that either you or your husband did on you, like you either did to him or he did to you.
Oh my gosh. This is a funny question because I hate pranks. I have to say that. I think they're cute to a certain extent, but I'm scared to prank him because I don't know who back. So let me have we
You ever like did like a funny little something, tricked him, or he tricked
Yes.
you?
Okay, so I've done things like, okay, this is so petty, but I've done things like if he's on his way home from work, I've tricked him and been like, I got something important to talk to you about when you get home. He'd be like, what? And I'd be like, you'll see. And then he'll get home and I would like jump in his arms and be like, I just had to tell you how much I missed you. Like I've done things like that.
That's a cute. That's a cute. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
one.
but the actual like tricking each other, I don't really think either of us have really pranked each other besides.
Okay, not yet, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
I
too
love
scared.
it. I was curious. Okay, but you guys, it is our time for the wrap up segment. This is the wrap up segment. So, how does this relate to self love? Self love is loving yourself enough to not neglect yourself, even when somebody else is in the picture. So, like I said before, the relationship with ourselves is the longest relationship we ever have. So, even still nurture that, even when other people are in the picture, whether you have children, you're around your family more, or you have a new romantic lover, still
Mhm.
love on yourself. So, before we go, how do you practice self love? Quick.
Yes. One of the ways that I practice self love is I treat my showers like a spa day.
Yes.
I don't always use all of my candles at once and all the fancy stuff. But one of the free and simplest ways I love on myself is I turn the lights off when I
I
shower.
do that too.
It is so relaxing. It like resets your nervous system and it just gives you a really calm you know what I'm trying to say,
Experience in the shower. Mhm.
calm experience. And so sometimes I'll light a candle, sometimes I'll just turn on like a further away light just so I can not slip and fall.
Yeah.
So I love on myself by treating my shower like a spa day. And another way I love on myself is I take walks. Taking walks is something that really regulates me. Um, and fun fact for those of you who are coupled or single and want to be coupled, my husband and I have found that when we take walks and talk about difficult things, it's a lot easier to talk about than like sitting on the couch.
Yeah, I believe that.
I think both of us are like more relaxed and you're engaged in something like healthy. So you're a lot more, easy to
Breathe
talk
fresh
to.
air. Okay.
Yeah, so I think that, and finally, I am very strict about who has access to me. And whether that's on my algorithm, I'm quick to click not interested. When this
Hey, you have to.
I'll be like, I don't want to see this popping up because it gets in your mind and you start
Yes.
to, so yeah, those are some of the ways that I love myself.
Great answers. And I believe you on the shower thing because y'all two of the gifts she's gotten me for birthday. She got me some silk pajamas. She got me some body scrub, and yeah, it's definitely made my shower experience better. So I'm with you
Yes.
on that one. And final question before we go, that I like to ask all my guests: what do you want to be remembered for?
Wow, that's a great question. I want to be remembered for reigniting hope in people.
Yes,
I
yeah,
do.
you do that every day. So yes. Okay. We're going to take that and them gems you just dropped. And remember, you guys, don't lower yourself to be a fit for someone else. And a person that is for you will bring out the best in you. They're not going to focus on trying to bring out the worst in you. So I appreciate you coming on here, girl, dropping gems and wisdom. I know you're going to touch somebody out there. Before we go, shout your information out. Where can we find you, book you, and all those great things?
Yes, absolutely. I have to tell you, I'm so grateful for being here. I was so excited to share this space with you. And you guys can find me at my dating page is at themakinglove.co on Instagram. And if you want to follow my personal page, it's purebeauty_Lexi. And those are the ways that you can find me right now.
I love that. And it was an honor to have you on, girl. This was great to talk to you. Like I learned some things as well. I appreciate y'all tapping into this wonderful episode. I will be back with another amazing episode. Follow on Instagram at SpeakUpJV. My personal is at Vernisa, and it's at SpeakUpJV everywhere. So tell your friends and everybody to subscribe and follow SpeakUpJV. I love you guys, and make sure y'all tap in with Alexis. Y'all have a great one.